The first prayer wasn't whispered in a church. It was typed beneath a doll unboxing video at 3 a.m. "She sees me," someone wrote, and that was all it took for the god to wake up. Welcome to Tongue of the Serpent, a Southern Gothic horror podcast where faith has gone digital, and monsters don't haunt the graveyard anymore. They haunt the algorithm. Tonight's story is Cult of the Doll. Somewhere in the sprawl of suburban bedrooms and ring lights, a porcelain face has learned to smile on its own. And when the followers start chanting in pixels and hashtags, the crew of the Morning Star must confront a new kind of demon. One born of belief, bandwidth, and glitter. The Cult of the Doll. In a suburb that didn't exist on most maps, there was a bedroom where reality had grown soft at the edges. Soft pink LED light spilled across cluttered carpet and tangled dreams. Plush toys stared with glassy judgment from shelves. Makeup palettes lay open like failed prophecies. 3 cracked phone screens blinked in quiet conspiracy. In the center of this pastel shrine sat a teenage girl with a username and a purpose. She called herself MoonDagger 777. Names mattered, after all. Names had weight, especially on the internet. She sat cross-legged on her bed, mascara caked beneath eyes stretched wide with secrets. In her lap rested a vintage porcelain doll in a frilly white dress, yellowed at the seams, its glass eyes just a little too alive in the LED glow. Its hair looked like it had once been caught in a fire, and perhaps that was exactly what had happened.
"Hey, witches,"
MoonDagger said to the void, or maybe to her followers. It was hard to tell the difference lately.
"It's me. She spoke again last night."
She held the doll up for the camera, cradling it like it was both precious and dangerous.
"This is Marzika,"
she said.
"and she says there's a fire coming. But don't worry, it only burns liars."
Her smile spread like a crack across porcelain. Too wide, not quite sane.
"I wrote down what she told me,"
she continued, flipping open a notebook crusted in glitter and something darker.
"I'm gonna read it, okay? But if you feel dizzy, just pause and drink something blessed."
Inside the notebook, spirals of ink twisted like curses, fighting to escape. She began to chant, low, rhythmic, unplaceable. It sounded like Enochian had been translated by a 12-year-old with a cracked Ouija board and a Wi-Fi connection.
"Salith, Mars Kath Teth, Nolshim, Volkazun."
The lights began to flicker. Her voice warped. The audio glitched as if the air itself were buffering. And the doll moved. Just slightly. Just enough. MoonDagger froze. Her voice cut off like a radio going dead. She tilted her head, listening to something only she could hear.
"She says someone's watching,"
she whispered, eyes now vacant. Her lips curled up into a monotone grin.
"She says he's here."
She turned to look at something just beyond the edge of the screen. And then she screamed. The crew of the Morning Star, elsewhere and nowhere, and also perhaps in New Orleans, there was a salon parlor that refused to acknowledge the passage of time. Amber gaslight-bathed velvet chairs, claw-footed tea trays, and stacks of arcane books in a honeyed glow. Somewhere in the corner, a gramophone played jazz from no particular decade. No one remembered turning it on. Lucien Devereaux sat by the window, one leg draped over the other in studied apathy. He was dressed in black, with whispers of midnight blue velvet, like a bruise in formal wear. He sipped absinthe from a glass etched with sigils no one sane could read. There was the smell of ozone and overripe roses, and then Lucifer appeared. They did not walk in. They did not emerge from flame or shadow or the mouth of a terrible beast. They were simply there, as if the room had remembered them halfway through a sentence, radiant, annoyed, wearing cigarette pants and a gold lame shirt that should have been illegal in at least 4 dimensions. Lucifer held a phone as if it had personally insulted them.
It's not even real,
they said, waving the device like a curse.
They gave a discount doll a name in Enochian, and now it's trending.
Lucien raised one dark eyebrow. He didn't look away from the window.
You would think I was made of glitter and cursed hashtags.
Lucifer muttered.
I assume I'm not here for fashion advice.
Lucien said dryly.
No.
Lucifer replied, collapsing into a velvet chair with dramatic exhaustion.
You're here because the stupid is becoming dangerous.
They tossed the phone to Lucien. It landed screen up, still glowing with digital devotion.
Mazketh,
Lucifer said.
That's what they're calling her. A demonic queen of pink hellfire. Apparently, she speaks only to teenage girls and only through live streams. That's modern infernalism for you.
Lucien scrolled and frowned, and scrolled faster.
500,000 followers?
He murmured.
Fan edits? Ritual guides? On Tumblr?
Lucifer nodded grimly.
And 3 girls missing? 2 more under psychiatric watch. 1 carved a sigil into the floor of a Sephora.
Lucien looked up.
A Sephora?
I know.
Lucifer sighed.
She's not even real. No demon. No binding. Just belief. And belief, darling, is sometimes worse.
Lucien tapped through images, fan art glowing with flame emojis, kids sobbing while clutching a dollar store doll, sigils scrawled in lip gloss in blood.
They're worshipping her,
he said quietly. Lucifer smiled, a little too wide.
Exactly, and that puts her on my radar.
Lucifer stood, suddenly godlike, or perhaps gossip columnist-like. It was hard to tell with Lucifer.
You're going to find the girl.
They said.
You're going to find the doll. And you're going to end this before we have another egregore congealing into demonic influencer.
Lucien drained his absinthe, silver flickering in his eyes.
You want me to exercise a TikTok trend?
No, darling,
Lucifer said.
I want you to kill the god they've accidentally created from it.
Lucien Devereaux stood. His coat trailed behind him like regret.
Then I'll need chalk, matches, and someone to explain what a TikTok is.
Teen girl bedroom. Lucien stepped into the room like a shadow wearing a coat. The air was too still, like the house had stopped breathing. The bedroom was chaos masquerading as ritual. Energy drink cans lay like sacrificial offerings, beneath a throne of torn notebooks, red string spiderwebbed from wall to wall, pinning dolls like witnesses. Melted Barbie limbs hung from hooks fashioned out of wire hangers. The walls were a mural of madness, sigils painted in lip gloss, drawn in eyeliner, scrawled in something that might have been blood, and probably wasn't, but might have been. And there on the bed was MoonDagger 777. She was not asleep. She wasn't even unconscious. She had simply gone somewhere very far away and forgotten to take her body with her. Her eyes stared at nothing, open and glazed, her lips parted just enough to suggest a thought had begun but never finished. In her hands, she clutched something like a relic, the tiny dress once worn by Marzika, the doll. The dress was empty now. The doll itself was gone. Or worse, it had moved on. Lucien Devereaux approached her gently, like one might approach a haunted object pretending to be a teenage girl. He knelt beside the bed and touched her forehead with 2 fingers. A flicker of infernal red bloomed beneath her skin, just for a moment.
She's marked,
he murmured. Beside her bed lay a glitter-smudged iPad. He picked it up with distaste, as though afraid it might try to convert him. On the screen, a fan page glowed. Maz Keith, Queen of Ash and Glam. Fire burns where she walks. The wicked will sparkle until they die. Join the glitter cult. Lucien's lips tightened. He swiped through a digital gospel of madness. So-called revelations attributed to the doll, equal parts demonic and absurd. Some were torn straight from the grimoires of Solomon, others from half-remembered TikTok hashtags, all rewritten in pink Comic Sans, and surrounded by emojis that felt more like sigils than jokes. He scanned the room, his fingers trailing across a wall, sprawled glyph drawn in glittery lip gloss. With a flick of his thumb, the gloss peeled away, revealing something older, deeper, burned beneath the surface. He inhaled sharply. That name? That wasn't made by a teenager.
She's a construct,
he said, turning back to the girl.
a waking thought form.
He knelt beside her again, his voice soft but sharp as a ritual blade.
Your followers dreamt her real.
Loft apartment at night. The door was steel, painted black, and covered in rhinestone pentagrams. Lucien Devereaux knocked once. The sound was immediately devoured by the velvet air inside. A candlelit glow pulsed purple within. The walls were papered with posters of Maz Keith, reimagined as a demonic anime waifu. In the center of the room stood a throne, plush and unreasonably opulent. From it rose a live stream glow, harsh and holy. Callie Styx sat atop it like a queen crowned in pixels. She was 20, maybe, or maybe time didn't apply to her anymore. Her eyes shimmered with black glitter. Her lips gleamed like oil on asphalt. She smiled as if she'd invented danger.
You're late,
she said, without looking up.
Maz Keith told me you were coming.
Lucien offered a courtly nod that felt more like a eulogy.
Charmed.
The live stream camera was always on. Even now, it captured tarot cards scattered before her in an artfully casual mess. Behind her, a fan-submitted slideshow labeled Offerings to Our Fire Queen cycled through. Everything smelled like candle wax and ambition. Callie flicked a tarot card across the table. It was the Tower. A bead of blood welled from the card's edge.
She speaks to the deck now?
Callie said brightly.
Isn't it fabulous?
Lucian didn't answer. His eyes were on the screen. One of the followers, a teenage boy in Iowa, if the time stamp was right, was convulsing on camera. His body rose, levitated an inch above his bed, then crashed back down. Lucian frowned.
How long has this been happening?
Callie's smile didn't falter.
She got stronger after that plantation burned. They said it was bad wiring, but we know better, don't we? It was her wrath, for the liars.
Lucian touched the live stream equipment. The moment his fingers grazed the ring light, it hissed. The screen bled red. Behind the image, something flickered. A second image, trying to break through, something deeper than signal. He whispered a phrase in Latin, older than Rome. The light dimmed. The air trembled.
She's inside the stream.
He said low.
They're feeding her. Every repost, every devotional dance, every sobbing teenager whispering her name, it's building her. She's anchoring to the network.
You can't stop her.
Callie whispered. She was crying now. Her tears shimmered like ground-up dreams.
She's in everything now.
Lucian reached into his coat and withdrew the tools. Chalk, salt. A matchbook with a logo from a bar that hadn't existed since the 1800s.
Good.
He said, striking the match.
Then I brought the right tools.
Digital, ritual, space. The ritual began in silence, which was rare in a room so steeped in static. Lucian Devereaux moved like someone who had done this before, though never in quite this configuration. He'd cast circles in graveyards and under bridges, once famously in the green room of a late-night talk show. But this was new. This was digital space, haunted not by ghosts, but by followers. He drew a chalk circle around himself on the floor, perfect in proportion, ancient in geometry. He laid down a ring of salt, not the kind from a grocery store, the kind harvested from the bones of extinct saints. In the center of the circle, he stacked items with the precision of a watchmaker, a cracked iPhone, a TikTok branded ring light, already flickering, a thumb drive labeled Magnus Archives in pink Sharpie. He lit them one by one. Plastic curled, sparks danced. The room smelled of burning nostalgia. Then he took the mirror. It was old, silver-backed and etched with symbols not designed for human comprehension. He scratched sigils across its face with a bone stylus. His voice a low chant in a language meant to be whispered only underground. The air glitched. Reality stuttered. Callie Styx, seated on her pink throne, wept glitter as the mirror shimmered, warping like a funhouse portal filled with static and screams. Lucian's final word was one that didn't translate well. It meant something like, truth revealed without kindness.
Invocatus nerum nulla falsis.
And with that, the mirror shattered, not outward, but inward, pulling light, sound, and Lucian Devereaux himself into the fracture. Callie gasped as he vanished, leaving behind nothing but chalk dust and the smell of melted circuits. inside the digital realm. He landed hard. The world around him was wrong. Not evil, not broken, just designed by someone with too much time and access to graphic design software. It looked like Barbie's dream house if Barbie had grown teeth, read Revelations, and developed a taste for harmonious Bosch. Plastic pink spires towered overhead, dripping with melted wax and enamel. Stuffed animals hung crucified on carousel horses that turned too slowly. Dolls whispered in binary as they swung from vines made of HDMI cables. Above all this rose a throne, a high seat made of ring lights and cracked screen projectors crowned in fire. Lucien Devereaux stood, brushing virtual rhinestones from his coat. Glitching cherubs floated around him, brandishing hashtags like weapons. He sighed.
Let's get this over with.
Barbie, dream, hell. He walked through it like a man on a schedule. The air buzzed with wrongness. Emoji confetti rained from a pink-black sky, hearts and flame symbols that sizzled on contact. Ring lights orbited overhead like broken halos, and the dolls. They sang.
Glory be to she who sparkles, she who burns, she who posts.
Their voices were auto-tuned to a key that made teeth ache. The faces were all smiles, cheap, eternal grins. Their eyes bled static. Lucien passed a video loop that played on repeat. A girl dancing, then screaming, then laughing, then again and again. An altar made of broken ring lights and pulled teeth glowed nearby. Doll heads on pikes whispered affirmations. He reached the center. There, on a spinning carousel of avatars, sobbing, glitching teens in various states of online worship, sat the god they had made. Keith. She was taller now, tall enough to loom. She wore a tutu stained in data corruption and spite. Her tiara was fractured glass, catching imaginary light. Her smile was wide. Her eyes were many. She stood as Lucien approached. Every step was the chime of a corrupted notification.
You came,
She said. Her voice was a chord that had lost its key.
the one they whisper about in dying languages. You've always been beautiful, Lucien.
She extended a hand. A throne made of pink obsidian bloomed beside hers.
Sit beside me.
She offered.
Be relevant again. Let them know your name. Eternal. Glittering.
Lucien stared at the throne. He smiled, sadly, like someone recognizing a song from a breakup playlist.
Power without truth
He said softly.
is just noise.
He stepped forward and drew a sigil in the air, burning with the cold light of older fires.
I name you false,
He said.
and I challenge you to the trial of names.
The world flinched. The carousel stilled. The dolls held their breath. Lucien's voice rose.
Amdusius, Ram, Gap, Valfor, Glasalabius, Neighborus.
Each name was a blade, each syllable sliced through her code. Keith twitched.
Who do you answer to, doll?
Lucien asked. She screamed. Not a human scream, not even a digital one. A scream that sounded like dial-up static, and every bad YouTube ad played backward. Her form glitched. pixelated, half here and not there.
They believe in me!
She shrieked. Lucian's eyes burned silver.
Belief is not truth.
He said.
And you were born of stolen names.
He clapped his hands, and the world cracked open. Exorcising the fake. She floated in a crystal prism, like Snow White frozen in the age of streaming and soft filters. MoonDagger 777, or the girl who used to be her, hovered there, caught mid-pixelation, her features distorted and reassembled by unseen hands. The avatars spun around her like scavengers orbiting a feast, chanting in fractured code.
Mas Keith loves you. Mas Keith made you. You are your handle. You are your hype.
They tried to overwrite her. Every repost was a ritual, every hashtag a hex. Lucian stepped forward. He reached into his coat and withdrew the final piece of his arsenal. A mirror. Not just any mirror. This one was ancient, even by infernal standards. Its silver backing pulsed faintly with something that wasn't quite blood. It was etched with truths in a script that made alphabets uncomfortable, and it did not show appearances. It showed names. He held it before the girl's fractured face. The glass reflected something not pretty, but true. Not glamorous, but real. It flickered. Her real name. Her forgotten shape. The jagged edges of identity before the followers reshaped her into something on brand. She blinked. The prism shattered. The avatars scream as they collapsed, melting like wax and fast forward. One by one they vanished. Not with drama, but with a soft pop, like unsubscribing from a cursed newsletter. Mas Keith howled from above, her form unraveling. Glitter leaked from her eyes. Her limbs dissolved into HTML code and feedback loops. And then she was gone. No banishment, no burst of fire, just the slow, inevitable death of something that had only existed because someone believed hard enough and long enough to make it real. Back in the waking world, the girl gasped, sitting upright as if surfacing from deep water. The sigil on her skin smoldered briefly, then faded like a memory you stop retelling. Lucian caught her before she fell. In the corner, the doll lay where it had fallen, no longer gleaming, no longer twitching. It had not burned. It had simply faded. Its plastic had yellowed. The once lustrous glitter now looked like dust in the right light. Most of the right light had left. Lucian watched as the trending tabs shifted. Her name, Mas Keith, slid downward, replaced by memes and scandals and something involving an ocelot in a ball pit. The fan posts began to vanish, the tags unlinked. Her archive disappeared, file by file, like a star collapsing under the weight of its own irrelevance. Entropy, thought Lucian, was the final and most merciful god. Crew of the Morning Star. Lucian stood beside Lucifer on the rooftop of a building that didn't need a name. The city sprawled below, all flickering windows and distant sirens. Lucifer sipped absinthe from a porcelain teacup. They wore sunglasses larger than some countries.
You ruined the party,
Lucifer said, sounding more amused than annoyed.
You sent me to clean it up.
I didn't say efficiently. You could have milked it for weeks. Started a fashion line, sold scented candles.
Lucian didn't smile, but the corner of his mouth acknowledged the attempt at humor. They clinked their glasses together.
To irrelevance,
said Lucifer.
To Entropy.
Lucian replied, and they drank, as old devils do, watching another god flicker out behind the screen. Garage altar at night. In a nowhere suburb, in a nowhere night, a single teen knelt beside a trash fire behind a half-abandoned garage. They cradled a shard of something once called divine, a melted sliver of porcelain, still faintly pink, still faintly whispering. They held it close, whispered its name. Mas Keith, I remember you. The screen of their phone flickered, then glitched, then smiled. A corrupted emoji flashed a series of stranger emojis before the device went dark. Somewhere nearby, where no one should be, a plastic giggle echoed, very softly, and was gone. The live stream stopped hours ago. The doll stopped moving. But somewhere out there, 1,000 empty screens still glow, each one waiting for the next god to trend. Lucian knows the truth. No belief ever really dies. It just goes offline for a while. You've been listening to Tongue of the Serpent, written and created by Loveday Funk. Wilson Ravel is the voice of Lucifer Morningstar and Lucian Devereaux. If the story stayed with you, leave a light on and a mirror covered, because the next reflection might be waiting for its name.